All right, let's just jump right into it. The launch of NVIDIA's RTX 50 series was, well, it was complicated. We got some absolutely mind-blowing power, but we also got some decisions that just made you scratch your head. And let's be real, for a lot of us, this was the heart of the problem. Yeah, the 5090 is an absolute monster. We all know that. But the 5080? Launching a $1,000 card with only 16 gigs of VRAM? I mean, come on. It really did feel like a slap in the face. It just wasn't right for that kind of money.
But, and this is a big but, if you were one of the people who held on to your wallet, if you decided to wait it out, well, your patience might be about to pay off in a huge way. See, there are new whispers coming from deep inside the supply chain, and they're suggesting that NVIDIA is getting a massive mid-cycle refresh ready to go. You know what that means? The supercards are coming.
So to really get why this super refresh is such a big deal, we have to rewind a little. We got to look back at the core problem that this whole launch created. This awful mix of sky-high prices and, honestly, some pretty underwhelming specs for what you were paying. It was really a tale of two cards, wasn't it? On one hand, you had the absolute beast, the RTX 5090. Just incredible, face-melting power, but with a price tag that's just a fantasy for pretty much everyone. And then you had the problem child, the RTX 5080. Look, it's a fast card, no one's denying that, but that $999 price for just 16 gigabytes of VRAM, that was the deal breaker, a huge letdown for the community. And what this did was create this giant, gaping hole in their product lineup. It's a problem that we're calling the Blackwell gap. Think of it like a huge, empty wasteland right in the part of the market that matters most. And just look at this. This chart shows the problem perfectly. You've got the RTX 5070 sitting down here at a pretty reasonable $599, which is great for 1440p gaming. Then you've got nothing. A massive $300 cliff before you finally hit the 5080 at $1,000. That huge gap between $600 and $900, that's a major strategic weakness. And trust me, NVIDIA knows it. This massive price hole is basically a giant, glowing welcome sign for their biggest rival, AMD. It leaves the door wide open for their upcoming RX 9000 series to just swoop in and steal a huge chunk of the market. And if there is one thing NVIDIA absolutely hates, it's losing market share. Okay, so how does NVIDIA fix this mess? This is where things get really, really interesting. The solution here isn't just about tweaking a few clock speeds. Nope, it's a fundamental change to the hardware, and it's all about the memory. All right, time for a quick nerd out session. The key piece of tech we're talking about is GDDR7 memory. This is the next generation VRAM that's powering the whole 50 series. But here's the catch. At launch, there was a huge limitation. It was pretty much only available in 2 gigabyte modules, and that created a serious technical bottleneck. Let me break that down for you. With those old 2 gigabyte modules, the RTX 5080 and its 256-bit memory bus was basically locked into a 16 gigabyte setup. They had no other option. But now the game has completely changed. Companies like Samsung and Micron are pumping out brand new, denser 3 gigabyte GDDR7 modules. And this, right here, shows the simple genius of the fix. You take the exact same 256-bit memory bus from the original RTX 5080, but instead of the old 2 gig chips, you populate it with these new 3 gigabyte modules. And what do you get? Boom, 24 gigabytes of VRAM, a massive 50% upgrade without needing a whole new, more expensive board design. It's brilliant. So here's the big takeaway. This new memory technology unlocks an entire new lineup of graphics cards, the supercards. And frankly, these are the cards that a lot of us feel like we should have gotten from day one. Now, based on the rumors and doing a little digging, here's what the lineup is probably going to look like. You've got an RTX 5070 Super with a nice jump to 18 gigs of VRAM, so no more not enough VRAM complaints there. An RTX 5080 Super with that full 24 gigs we were just talking about. And then, right in the middle, filling that big empty gap, the 5070 Ti Super, probably landing between $799 and $849. And I want you to pay very close attention to that 5070 Ti Super. Because if they price that thing right, and if they give it 20 or maybe even 24 gigs of VRAM, it is perfectly positioned to become the new king of value for 4K gaming. It could hit that absolute sweet spot of price and performance. But this whole story is actually bigger than just what happens in our games. We have to talk about the other elephant in the room, the prosumer market and the absolute explosion of local AI.
And you can bet NVIDIA is thinking about those users too.
So why does 24 gigs of VRAM matter so much for AI?
Well, it's pretty simple. VRAM is the single most important thing you need to run AI models on your own computer. More VRAM lets you load up much larger, much more powerful models. This is a direct play for anyone running Stable Diffusion or local large language models, and it gives them a much cheaper option than buying one of those insanely expensive professional Titan cards.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. This all leads to the million-dollar question for anybody who's thinking about an upgrade right now. With all of this new info, what's your move? Do you buy something now, or do you wait?
Let's make this really simple for you. You should probably buy now if you are a 1080p or 1440p gamer. The current RTX 5070 is a fantastic card for that, and the extra money for a super version might not be worth it for you. But you absolutely 100% must wait if you're a 4K gamer or you do any kind of local AI work. That 16 gigabytes on the current 5080 is a trap. It's already a problem today, and it's a huge problem for the future of that card.
And just remember this, while the exact names of the cards are still rumors, the foundation for all this is very, very real. The movement in the supply chain on these 3 gigabyte GDDR7 memory chips is happening as we speak. Those chips are being made in huge numbers, and they have to go somewhere. A super refresh is pretty much the only thing that makes sense. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. Is this super refresh from NVIDIA the fix that we all really wanted from the very beginning, or is it just the one we deserve after such a messy launch?